we shouldn't be talking about the offseason. We should be talking about Super Bowl week leading up to the Super Bowl and doing that for the first time ever. But instead, we're talking about the offseason. It sucks, but it's the reality. And while this will be a loss that probably never leaves me, I hope that it galvanizes the team and makes them better. We had a great offseason last year that helped put us in this situation this year, and hopefully we'll have the same type of success. So we got to talk about some free agents. We're going to be talking about free agency and the draft. Now, I'm going to focus primarily on free agency. I'll do a couple mocks, Mel Kiper and all that stuff. It's going to be a little different because Todd McShay is no longer with ESPN. So it's going to be a little different doing the mock drafts and stuff like that this year. But the Detroit Lions are picking 29th this year, so things are going to be different, man. This is going to be a different offseason than what we're used to. But shout out to my guy, Detroit Lions on Tap. Awesome guy. Awesome Twitter kind of account over there. I'll put the link to this post in the description. Make sure you go over there and check out the post and give him a follow. Really provides great content on Twitter for all Detroit Lions fans. And if you want to stay if you want to stay on tap or in tap, with the Lions organization. But he put a graphic together that was just too easy. It was too good to pass up. This thing is fantastic. So I want to put this out here. Coming from Detroit Lions on Tap, got this ridiculous looking graphic, man. Upcoming free agents. All right. Now you see CJ Gardner-Johnson is probably the headliner here. All right. Now we have 39 players under contract, like Khalif Raymond and all that type of stuff. But we got some guys some core guys that we need to consider re-signing. RE-sign. You got to remember that there's a difference between re-sign and re-sign. There is a difference. So here is the upcoming free agents. We're going to read them off, and then we're going to go one by one. I'll tell you who stays and who goes according to me. We've got defensive end Charles Harris, safety CJ Gardner-Johnson, Dan Skipper, tackle, Donovan Peoples-Jones, that trade deadline acquisition, Emmanuel Mosley, Graham Glasgow, Halapoulivaati Vaitai, Jake McQuaid, the long snapper, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, Jonah Jackson, Josh Reynolds, Kendall Vildor, Matt Nelson, Michael Badgley, Romeo Okwara, and Will Harris. All right. So real quick, man, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right. So 16 people. I do think a handful comes back. There's a couple I'm not too certain on. You just never know. Okay. So Charles Harris, gone, in my opinion. Vaitai, gone. Kendall Vildor, Romeo gone. Will Harris gone. Will Harris he finds a way to stay on this team. But I don't think we saw too much of him going on that playoff run. So I think Romeo, Will Harris, Charles Harris is gone for sure. Dan Skipper's unique because Dan Skipper is one of them guys that he was here. He's like a practice squad dude, but he comes in and he plays well. Now, he was against Bosa. There was a play in the conference championship game where he was against Bosa, and you can't put Dan Skipper against Bosa. I think it led in a sack. But Dan Skipper, because he's like a practice squad dude, and he keeps, he winds up on he doesn't really wind up on a person's roster. I feel like they won't bring him back. They'll try to like practice squad him. Donovan Peoples-Jones, this was a good one because they traded for him and gave up a 6th-round pick in 2025, I believe. And it was essentially like a 7-game rental. So this one is curious. He didn't do much here, but he also could have an offseason with the Detroit Lions. This one is curious. I'm going to say because they traded for him, they bring him back. Emmanuel Mosley, I've been hearing kind of that they could bring him back. I don't know about this. I don't know. I think what happened to our cornerback room, Emmanuel Mosley might be risky. So I'm going to say they don't bring Emmanuel Mosley back. We'll save CJ Gardner-Johnson for last. Graham Glasgow, I think he comes back. Vaitai, I already said that. McQuaid, he's the only long snapper on the team. I believe he is back. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, I can see him coming back. He was a great teamer. Jonah Jackson, I don't think Jonah comes back. I think he outprices himself. Plus, Jonah gets hurt quite a bit. He's good. He's not great, but he's good. He's along with the rest of those guys on the offensive line. They work well together. But I think Jonah is going to sign somewhere else. He's going to be like Evan Brown from last year, who signs with a different team. Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds is a big deal. I think Josh resigns. I think he resigns with Detroit. He made some critical drops in the championship game. I know he's sick about it, but I think Josh Reynolds, I think it would be smart to bring Josh Reynolds back. I think he does come back. Kendall Vildor, he's a great story, but we have to upgrade in that secondary. I think Kendall comes back, but he'll be on the practice squad. I don't think I don't know. We need better back there. He did solid, but we need better. Matt Nelson is terrible. I would hope that he does not come back. And we already discussed Michael Badgley. The Lions, I don't know. Their kicker situation is weird. They just don't know. They trade for Riley Patterson. They cut him. He's on the team. They waive Badgley. They didn't cut Riley Patterson, or they waive Riley Patterson. They bring Michael Badgley back. It's obvious the Detroit Lions have zero idea what to do with the kicker. And they could have just kept Matt Prater, who at almost 40 is still booting him through the uprights of a well of distance. But that's in the past, and the present is now, and the future is coming. And I don't know what they do with kicker. I have no clue. But if you can't trust somebody to kick a 50-yarder, we have a problem. We have a problem. So I'll say this. If it was just Dan being aggressive and it's not Badgley, then bring him back. Michael Badgley was solid for us. He's essentially been our kicker for the last 2 years. So I don't know, have him work on his strength in the offseason and bring him back, or do something, or get a kicker. I don't think drafting kicker is the answer. Jake Moody was a third-round kicker, and he missed a lot. So I'm going to say Michael Badgley because of the kicker situation. I do not know at all. Now, let's get to the cream of the crop, the guy that everybody is trying to talk about right now, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, should he come back? I'm going to say that I think he should. Tracy Walker won't be back. I think we're going to cut him or something like that. I'm actually surprised because I thought he was a free agent, but I think he has another year, maybe. He signed up. I think he has another year, I believe. I thought he was a free agent, but C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I think stays. I know a lot of people were very critical over the missed tackles and the bumping of Deebo Samuel. I mean, that really didn't hurt the team. I know Dan Campbell said you can talk all the smack you want as long as it doesn't turn into a personal foul. It did turn into a legal block in the back, not a personal foul, or is that a personal foul? I don't know, but a penalty. But it didn't really cost the Detroit Lions, and he did try to pull up on the end. I think the reason people want him to go is the fact that he's out there missing tackles. The dude only played in what, 4 games, 4.5. He played an entire game hurt with a torn pectoral muscle. So I love the talking that he's doing. I'm not going to change because we lost the game. I have been consistent this whole year. We need a pass rush. I'm not a believer in Aaron Glenn. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson is still that guy. He's still the same guy he was when we broke the internet signing him. So it really depends on if he wants to stay, how much money he wants to, and does Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes still believe that he fits the mold that they were trying to bring. And I want y'all to remember this. We had a video earlier today about grit and what that grit has to outweigh talent when it comes to being on the Detroit Lions. But at the same time, you can have a level of swag, a level of C.J. Gardner-Johnson likes to talk a lot, but so does Deebo Samuel, so does DK Metcalf, and they produce, right? But he likes to talk a lot. But what is this team without C.J. Gardner-Johnson? Is it the same? Do we have, if you think about it, as far as an identity, a guy that was the identity of this team on the field, it was C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He had all y'all buying a ski mask, selling out Amazon in week 2. And now you ready to throw him in the trash. So for me, if Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes still says he fits, then bring him in. Especially if you're considering bringing back Emmanuel Mosley, we have to bring C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. The dude only played like 5 games. And he worked his tail off to come back. And I think he was a big deal in this game, as far as in the run to the playoffs and in the playoffs. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Listen, I'm hot. I got COVID. You know what I'm trying to say. So just fill in the blanks. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, should we resign? I say yes. So free agents that we bring back in a real quick, let's speed run this because we going over 10 minutes. Charles Harris, no. CJ Gardner-Johnson, yes. Dan Skipper, I want to say practice squad dude. Donovan Peoples-Jones, yes. Emmanuel Mosley, I'm going to say no. We need to upgrade. But he may. Graham Glasgow, yes. Vaitai, no. McQuaid, yes. Reeves-Maben, yes. Jonah Jackson, no. Josh Reynolds, no. Yes. Kendall Vildor, I'm going to say practice squad as well. Matt Nelson, no. Badgley, yes. Romeo Aquara, no. Will Harris, no. And again, check out Detroit Lions on tap. Link will be in the description. I think I'm done for today. Now I'm going to get some rest. And all these videos were recorded one after another. And also, listen, I get distracted. We are like 50 subscribers away from 19K. And that's fantastic. At 20,000, the old 33-inch Lion will be given to a public subscriber. I'll let you know how we're going to do that when we hit 20K. So we had a goal to hit 20,000 by the Super Bowl. Let's hit it. Let's still hit that. Even though the Detroit Lions won't be playing in it, still, it's still tough to get over. I'm not going. Even though they won't be playing it, and they should be, let's see if we can still hit 20,000 by the Super Bowl. Man, this is painful. It's going to be a long offseason. But, here we go. Draft is in Detroit. More money. We'll see. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.